Scenes right out of an Italian restaurant. Hello, everyone. Good to hear from you. And as I, there we go. Hello, Miss Trina. How are you doing, my dear?
I'm good, Wayne. How are you?
I do well, thank you. Appreciate that. How's everything down in your part of the world?
Oh, it's, recovering from this terrible flu that's going through Phoenix right now. Other than that, really good.
Well, I love the attitude. It's a nuclear
Other
bomb
than,
went off, but hey, we're still here and we're doing good.
absolutely. Hey,
Exactly.
it'll pass. This too shall pass.
It does, and it's all
Yeah.
about attitude. It truly is, you know.
Yeah.
Well, hello everyone. Hello, moderators. So good to see you. Peace and welcome all free thinkers from all planets and all realities and of all energies. We kind of figure it's like this. If you're a free thinker, no matter what your state is, then you're welcome here. So we just invoke favor upon you, favor of healing, favor of favorable circumstances, favorable judgments, everything that you could think that would be your antithesis. We speak favor on that positive aspect of it. May it be seen in your life by nothing missing, nothing broken. So that's how we hang here.
Mhm.
That's it. I mean, it's the only way I can really see it coming down. It certainly makes you live happier, I would say.
It's a beautiful thing to put positive things into our world because we've been taught to beg and plea and, do all this negative talk. And this is
Yeah,
one of the most positive things you could do. And
it
you're doing
really
it, Wayne,
is.
and it's working. And I'm
It,
seeing it touch everything, and it's getting bigger and bigger and bigger.
I'm hearing other channels and other things, and I'm going, it's spreading across the world,
It
you
is.
know? You know?
It is.
So I was doing some mirror exercising, and the thought hit to me that all humans, we we either are in or we will create routines in our lives. We all have routines, and no matter what the age, you have a routine. And that word comes directly from ritual.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Let that spin around there, folks, and give some thought to that one. Kind of makes you really kind of think of, well, what kind of beings are we? Yeah.
We got started when we were babies with
Yep.
routines, and then as soon as we were small children, the first thing that we learned was how to spell.
And magic doesn't exist.
Right, and it's what's forming everything in this reality.
It is. I mean, it's quite
Everything.
amazing. You think about this, and I was meditating on this because, when it hits you, you're going, okay. You speak about as a child coming into this world, a new life form coming in, and you are immediately immersed into a ritual. We call it giving birth.
Yeah.
We try to make it very clinical now. Fortunately, we've wakened up that, mothers, they see other more natural ways. But the point is, it's an immediately introduction to a ritual.
Oh, it's the biggest one you ever get placed into. I mean, most people, because a lot of people, thank God, aren't brought into these ceremonies and used as guinea pigs. But yeah,
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
the most brutal one. You're literally being crushed through a force of nature unlike any other, and then you're being birthed upside down in blood. And then the first thing they do is they flood you with artificial light, and then they prick your blood, they take your blood, they stamp your soul, and they put you in contract.
Yeah,
It's
and by the
it's
way,
pretty intense.
I have actually um, been reading some documents on that contract, and I thought of you, Trina, on that because the contract is rather extensive,
It is.
and it doesn't matter whether you know about it or you don't.
Nope.
You're in it.
Yep.
You really are. And I was just,
Turned into a bond servant. And you're
yeah,
literally put into bond paper, and you've
yeah.
already been declared as dead. That's how you become a corpse, and they form a corporation. It's insanity.
As you were thinking, I was suddenly having flashbacks, and maybe it was my own. Who knows? I'm going to have Lisa Barnett coming on the 25th of October. It's going to be interesting.
Excellent.
And I'm suddenly realizing if we are consciousness and we're being, as you said, I like being crushed into this reality. I wonder if we're cognitive of consciousness, a state of consciousness, of how we're seeing. Wow, this is pretty profound. As look at it like this. I believe we are at the base of what life and reality is. Earth is the base reality. And I could see a soul coming in and seeing the different realities as you're falling in.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yeah, I could see that, and I've been able to see that through doing journeys and visions. Basically, the trance work. I saw multiple realities existing simultaneously, and I could bounce into each one just for a few moments, and they were all pretty similar, but they were different at the same time. So it was you knew it was not your reality, but it had the same players, but the houses were different, the streets might be different, there were differences, but it was the same, but it was just so hard to explain, and I could see multiples happening.
And then you end up here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think we're there too, because it felt as real as this reality.
You know, Star Trek's Next Generation did a really wonderful episode on just that concept. How a person, Picard was hit by this satellite, and anyway, it affected his brain, and he suddenly was on another planet as another person. He was married, had a complete life, and the thing about it was he was cognitively spatial aware of the variances, and he was having a very difficult time. Now, the interesting thing about that, Gene, when he wrote that, was that it was also metaphoric of death. Yes. That he could remember his life. He knew he was a captain of a starship, but here he is on this planet, basically kind of a teacher, and he within an hour, he had lived a complete lifetime.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the weirdest thing, because time is so weird.
Yeah.
Like, it's so weird. Yeah, time is weird. It's kind of like water. They're both weird.
You just, as you're talking about that, so you think about it. I mean, and in that movie, it was great because he had lost his awareness of his former life.
Mm-hmm. Once you get immersed into that new sleep, it takes over. Yeah, and that's what I see. It's like once you get into another body, that's what starts the amnesia.
It's almost like a virus. I swear to you, Trina, it's almost like a freaking virus.
It literally, I think, is a virus, because when I would ask God about sin, I was like, what is this sin stuff? I don't get it. He would tell me, he was like, he'd put it into simple terms so I could get it. He was like, it was Satan's interference with nucleic acid.
That's an interesting concept. That's
what he would tell me over, and then he would show me RNA and nucleic acids, and it created the proteins to form our flesh, and that our flesh was the actual sin, because it's the cutoff from God. That's why they say, will you choose sin or will you choose God? If you are like thinking this is all you are, and you're so attached to this world and this body, you're going to go right back into the beast system. Reincarnation, death, entropy, sickness, illness, all of it. It's yours. Have it.
What it brings up an interesting point because we see it from a position of what I was saying yesterday. Free thinkers, true free thinkers, are the enemy of the state. And it's interesting when we say state, because you can have a church state, you can have a government state. The point is a state of consciousness, a state of awareness, etc. So we become the antithesis, the antivirus, the antichrist, if you want to go to it, the anti-Gnostic,
Yep.
Gnosis, however you want it, the Sophia.
Yeah, he would tell me that all the time. You guys are the antivirus.
And I could really see that.
Well, he told me that's what it is. He said we would bring in new light codes that would literally shake up and destroy all the systems that were, and we would collapse them with our belief systems and our vibration and our light, which is information. It's the information.
It's true. I mean, it's like I've been meditating on perfection. I think that, and this is just my developing thought process, that we're told that there is a God that is perfect, but I can't see it that way. I believe that there is a single source of where thought originated from. And I'll say that thought. I can't define that because I can't put any barriers. Yeah, it's too big.
It's too big. It's
too
big. But that's what I see too. But yeah, when you understand God as creation as source, it's everything. Everything.
Yes, and I think within that, there is that randomness. I mean, so perfection is, as I was meditating, and I was hearing this from, you want to call it your spirit guide, whatever, but the conversation is that perfection is an ideal that even the gods dream to achieve.
Yeah.
Because once you reach that state, you have now reached the point of zero energy, no movement.
And I think if you do get to that point, what's going to happen is you're going to literally absorb back into source.
It's like, where else do you go?
That's what I see. It's like, be careful how much of God you really want to know, because if you do, you're going to absorb back into it. And at that point, you would lose your individuality because it would be gone.
I heard this distinctly in my spirit consciousness. And this is what I heard. And this is what the words heard, that it said, "My darling, don't you realize that once you've reached perfection, the only place to go is down?"
Yes. To be birthed out of source once again.
And then here I'm seeing this toroidal field, right? This torus. And I'm going, kind of says.
You go into another cell.
Yeah, I mean.
That's what I see. Yeah.
It's deep, girl. It's deep.
It's so deep. So deep. And then I see that cell traveling to like a body, and that body is a cosmos, and then you travel through the cosmos into a planet, and then through the planet you enter into a body, and then as soon as you get into the body, which you activate through all the bodies as you're going down into it. But like once you get into like your baby body, like we have now, that's when the light just goes and your consciousness takes over that little part of this construct.
Yeah. It's I was just trying to read the chat rooms going, shoo. Need to take that Evelyn Wood Spree.
You guys are so smart.
But it brings into this whole point, because if perfection is an ideal that even God desires to achieve, then the only place that you would go would be back through the cycle.
Yeah.
I mean, because the challenge of perfection is that I would think that, I don't know, it's a difficult concept to really, when you think about it. Is perception then static, or is it dynamic? Does it evolve, or does it become stagnant? And these are all the equations. But if you look at a toroidal field, you begin to do the math, you begin to see, well, no perfection is ever perfect. Does that make sense?
Yeah. And like I said, I think if you were in absolute oneness, perfection with source, I really think you would be in a sense of basically indifference, because you would have to have the ability to process everything.
Yeah,
You don't have any kind of feelings or emotions towards any of it. So
wow, that's a scary thought. I mean,
it is, and that's literally what I've seen. It's like once you get to the highest realms, literally there is no judgment. You are completely one with everything, and in that oneness, there's an indifference that is so solid and focused and perfect in its wisdom. But it's basically, it's literally, it's not pulling or pushing against any of it. The polarity's gone.
Well, you mentioned something about life, death. I mean, that's what I was hearing, in the indifference.
Yeah.
And, and I'm thinking about this. So if you had that knowledge, and I can't imagine it because I can't frame it, but anyway, I'll pretend like I can do that.
Right, I'll try.
Yeah. And I'm just pretending
like I can, right.
But,
do the best I can with what I got, but yeah.
See, death would not have the tragedy attached to it because you realize that death is just merely a process.
Transition. Yeah, it's like to next.
We probably have probably ill-defined death. What we really should call it is the transitioning.
And everything here is backwards. So what we should really be calling is birth or born again.
I did a video on that.
Yeah, Wayne, that's what it is. It's you're being born again.
Yeah, it's called the birthright.
Yes, we're being birthed over and over and over. Why do you think one of the biggest symbols for thousands of years is the Vesica Pisces? It's the birthing. It's the portal. I
contend, Trina, that I believe that this is the death realm.
Yeah.
And we are not born, we are dead. We are actually created dead in this world because everything dies here. Death is permanent.
They even tell us that the day we're born.
Guess what, sucker? You're one closer to the day you're going to be dying. You're like, well, I just started.
Yep. But you're deemed dead. We are the walking dead.
Isn't that
the legal classifications that have been placed upon us with these contracts?
Wow.
That's just fact. Yeah.
It kind of goes into our theme.
Dead. That's why we are called a corpse. That's why we are called mortal. That means death. It's like they tell you. It's just we don't understand what these words truly mean.
What if it is that when we cross over to the other side, that we suddenly realize the elevation of, we snap to and we go, wow, am I so freaking glad I am over that, I made it, baby.
Yep.
Yeah. I don't find it to be scary. In fact, I think there's a lot of upside to it, and that's why they have taught us wrong to fear it.
Yeah. Wayne, you know how people, all the near-death experiencers, they usually get to a thing they would call God or source or Jesus or Buddha, whatever they believe, but this godly entity that does your life review with you. They're saying that if you can recognize that that is actually you, it is truly you, it's a higher aspect of what you truly are. And if you can actually grasp that and embrace that concept, they say you immediately will bypass all the lower astral levels.
Well, I was just recanting in my memory I've had 5 near-death experiences, 2 that literally required to be resuscitated. So, and one of those, I have a very vivid memory. I had, I'm anaphylactic, allergic to bees.
Oh.
And I was
You
living down.
always need to carry copper pennies with you from 1970 or before.
Yeah, I
It
carry.
pulls the venom out, Wayne.
Yeah,
It
well,
saved my father-in-law's life.
yeah, I know. My grandpa taught me that,
Really?
and
Right on.
yeah, he did, and
That's
he
awesome.
also showed tobacco is also mixed with saliva, and it has to be mixed with saliva.
Yep.
It actually activate and pulls that.
Oh,
Anyway,
yeah.
um,
Awesome.
I was out on a riding lawnmower mowing the property and um, hit a hive of Africanized bees. And I guess I had gotten over 30 bee stings, particularly up around my temple. I
Oh,
can remember hitting the ground, and I can just remember the intense pain. And then there was that moment where I call it the fluidity of thought. It's because everything is fluid, at least in my perception. I remember the ambulance getting there. I remember the EMTs, doing their things, and I can really tell you, it was a pulling of a calmness. What can I say? That's what it felt like. I knew I was dying. I really did. I knew it was dying, and when I was in the emergency room, and they're getting me. The EpiPens to try to pull me back in, that light is there. It really is. It's a freaking weird experience. It is.
yeah. It's like embraced by the light. This is
There you
calm,
go.
still, yeah. And you
Yeah.
feel so calm. You're like, oh,
Yeah.
this is no problem. I got this.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's no big deal. It's like, so people are so afraid of this, and it's like, it's not a big deal.
Yeah. Yeah.
At least it wasn't for me. It's just was like
Yes.
natural. It was like I was watching everything, going, yeah, we're gonna check out here pretty soon, but it's all right.
Yeah.
And
That's what.
I didn't have any problem with it.
Same here. It was like, there you go. There has to be something to that when you come to that awareness that you're going, all right, so what?
Yeah, and I was battling for like 2 years, screaming, going, "People, I'm dying," and they could not find out what was going on. So basically, it was just like I was dying. So before you die, you start to transition through
Yeah.
visions, and. So yeah, I had a lot of weird, you know, early transitional experiences, and literally it takes the fear of death away.
It does. I
Yeah.
want to say hi to Josh. I haven't seen you in a while. Consciously aware. Good to see you, my friend. Um, and it brings into that whole point. That our topic today was, who has your back. Um, and it's really interesting because in those NDEs, what they call them, we're right there with the majority. A majority of people have said the same thing. It's a very once it hits to you that you're dying, that, all right, I'm checking out.
Okay.
Yeah, like, but there
Yeah.
are those though.
And you kind of don't really want to go back into the body.
No,
I
I
mean,
was
I
kind of,
didn't, because mine was shutting down. I was like, oh, it's better up here. It was just, feels a lot better.
I was actually pissed.
Yeah, I could totally relate. Yeah, I was like, oh,
Uh,
really?
of course you got to thank the doctor and all the medical technicians, but
Yeah,
they're doing their job. But it's like,
yeah.
all right.
Yep.
Now, is that saying then that there is yet destiny to be played out, or is this are we writing our book as we traverse the journey going forward? I don't know.
Well, it's so funny because this is about who's got your back.
Yeah.
And when I had my near-death experience was when I was going into renal failure, and I had a systemic candida infection,
Ooh.
and it went into my bloodstream, and it was really bad. So my heart couldn't pump my blood; it was too thick. So there was just a lot of stuff going on. So if I wouldn't have walked away from all the conventional medicine and gone to a holistic doctor, I would be dead. So, you know, when who has your back, when all else fails, you have to go in and you have to look for other options and find things that were not yet before you. This is literally your biggest work. And if you give that power to anyone or anything else, I think the outcome can be really bad.
Now that's an interesting, because as you were talking, Trina, what I found each time was myself.
Yeah.
I mean, there wasn't anyone else there.
Yes. And I think
I
that's
mean,
the biggest truth.
it's like, I was like, well, where is everybody? Maybe they're waiting. I mean, I don't know. Because obviously we didn't make that transition because we're both here. And I know there's a lot of people listening. You've had the same, you know, experience.
Yes.
You know, I just, it's real, but who has our back? You know,
Us.
I think it is us.
It has to be. I think, you know, there are family and ancestors and guides and angels. They all can help you too. But if you do not take self-responsibility, you will never achieve where you want to go. Because if you're giving your power away to anything and not trusting in the power that is within you, that was given directly from creation itself, that means you're not even worthy of the spark that you hold. That was kind of what they told me.
It's so interesting when you say spark, because you know, we hear the term spark of divinity, you know, the spark of light. Lilith said that we have the spark of the divine.
Yes.
That each one of us, that what makes us very unique, because not all energies, not all spirits, not all souls have the spark of the divine within them. And it makes us, and there is if you take it from Lilith's point of view, this is a prison planet. This is a hell planet, because we have the spark of the divine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think because we've been trapped in matter due to the inability to remember who you are, this is why it is a hell planet. Because I don't think we were supposed to get stuck here.
I don't think we were either.
I think the genetic manipulations that were done shut us down from connecting to source.
You know what movie, Trina, reminds me of our conversation? Cocoon.
Oh, really? I haven't seen that in so long.
Yes, remember, you know, it was a great movie because the whole theme was that, you know, the aliens they got stuck here.
Yeah.
And, you know, they were in their cocoons and trapped in physical matter. And it wasn't
I've seen that. I've seen that I've seen myself sleeping in a few different ways. They've shown me this. And every time I'm like, this is a trip. So I don't know, maybe we are somewhere in a cocoon sleeping. I think we need to investigate that when we die. I really do. Or go, if you can, fork. I've gone in the astrals and I've seen some crazy stuff with this.
Boy, I want to tell you what, now this one's got, now, and obviously, you know, the spirits are with us in this conversation. They get to speak through you and I and the voices in the chat room. But the point is, you know, if you look at that, you know, metaphor, yeah, I mean, we're waiting for basically, you know, ET to send us back home.
I think
Can we
that's
get
the
out?
concept of you need to wake up.
Yeah. Yeah. And, you know, and now that's interesting. Let's carry that forward, because in the theme of the movie, when they did wake up, they were in their spirit form.
Yes. And you're no longer trapped.
Yes.
And this is
That's
what I think,
I'm talking.
this is what I think we need to figure out. And this is what we need to do. And no one can do this for you. You have to
this is rolling.
Find yourself. Yeah.
So what did they do?
Priority.
When they got the cocoons out of the ocean that had a natural salinity, and apparently we found out a current, when they brought them and put it in the artificial pool, that was pulling energy out, because when the humans jumped in who were old, they started becoming young.
Life force energy.
Almost kind of like the whole psychic vampire thing, you know?
Absolutely.
Holy crap.
Absolutely.
Woo, girl. I mean,
And this is why we're looking at all of this child stuff and the adrenochrome.
yeah.
Same thing. Same
Yeah.
stealing.
Wow.
That which is not yours.
I mean, just sucking the joy right out of the room. That is amazing connection when you think about that. It proves, how true it is.
It would make sense on so many levels, Wayne, that we were somewhere sleeping, connected to a quantum machine. And this quantum machine is taking our essence and projecting enough star fire, creative spark of God to animate physical bodies.
I believe if they would leave us alone, I don't think they will, but because I contend this, we have 10,000. If you look at the Croix cave drawings in France, that dates back 35, 40,000 years ago. So the point is that if we're saying, let's just round it off, say 50,000 years, that we have not advanced in intelligence any more than what we are at today, tells me that they're purposely suppressing our abilities. Because we should be at an IQ of 2000. We should have already figured out some of these fundamental basic concepts of what truly matter, life, universe, etc., death, spiritual realm, etc.
I think that the original Adam, I think, was that. And I think that's why Adam had to be put to sleep and cloned, because he was too powerful of his own accord.
Again, and I keep on thinking the Liber Lilith, that's exactly, we have the autogen.
Well, think about it, Wayne. How come Adam named everything? Adam brought the word.
Yeah, well, I'm going to tell you what, he got slapped down pretty hard if you follow the whole from a different point of view. I mean,
Totally dropped down, slammed to the earth in a degraded form. Yeah.
And I can hear Lilith.
Yeah, I think that was the transfer point, was in the Garden of Eden.
Yeah, I could hear Lilith saying, I told you they were going to do that. I told you. And Adam's going, so here's the point. Isn't this, now I know we're getting off a little bit into eschatology here, but if I look at that point, so Lilith said, I ain't buying it. I ain't having a part of this. I ain't going down with you, Adam. You can go down your road. So Adam took the road of matter. That's how I'm seeing it. And matter became flesh, etc. So the point is, though, when they cheated him out of his contract,
his first estate,
I can't help but not think then, Adam could actually be the true Satan, the true Lucifer.
Totally, because he would be the original light bearer.
Wouldn't he, though? I mean, so
yeah, I could see a lot of that go into that, absolutely. And I can also see too that, just like they talk about how they cut up the body of Osiris, I could see how they cut that body up into pieces.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah, created everything from pieces of Adam, so he would never be in his power.
So this is very interesting. I'm going to study this more. This is a little revelation coming in my head, because it only would make sense that Lilith, being the first female, the essence of the feminine, Adam, because we never, and even in the Abrahamic religions, they never say what happens to Adam.
No, and they never say he woke up.
No, says that, when he was, died, well, where did his spirit go? But I keep on thinking he had to be pissed.
Oh, I think he's trapped.
And he would be what would be the direct equation to what Lucifer would be.
Yeah, and what if we are now Adam? All of us are the pieces of Adam, and that Adam can't wake up until we wake up.
Oh, well, he's screwed then. I mean, I want
I
to
don't
show
think
you.
so, Wayne, because I only saw it only takes a small amount
Well, here's what we're
to
dealing
claim
with.
the light.
Do you see this?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
This is freaky. This tells me how bad of a condition that we are. They did this survey, right? They talked to 2,000 people, and they asked them what their favorite vegetable was.
Uh-huh.
Nearly 25% of the respondents said they never have eaten a vegetable in their life.
Yeah. That's the plastic world we live in.
You know,
Yeah.
I don't know. When I see this, I'm going, oh,
This was done intentionally. All of this plastic stimulating food they've been giving us, it's got different chemicals and hormones. It's been changing and modifying our genetics for years. They're dumbing us down again and getting us further away from nature,
yeah.
further away from our spark, further away from our divinity. And this is done on purpose. So,
And
guys, if I could say anything, just try to plant something, show some love to the earth and connect with her. Because I really think it's important for everybody, the whole.
I agree. So when we look at this list here, this is something I found very odd. My wife, who's a nurse, pointed it out. The bottom of which is considered to be the hated fruits, those are the ones who provide the most critical minerals.
Beneficial. Yep. Medicinal. Yep.
That you don't get in the starches primarily above.
Yep. Yes, my God. Especially too when you think about mushrooms alone, the medicinal properties of mushrooms are mind-blowing.
I mean, I love artichokes. I make them. I have a great Brussels sprouts. Now, the thing about Brussels sprouts is that, they do produce gas in most people, but they give you, what was it was it selenium?
Oh, really? And that's a powerful,
it is.
powerful thing.
This is what's absent in the majority of people's diets.
God, you're absolutely right. You know, Wayne, that's why I've gone to, like, I go to 1-800-HERB-DOC, and I hate to push it, but I have to. The guy's got organic warehouses in California. He's been growing all of these vegetables for like 30, 40 years. And he's created like protein packs and pills and like superfoods in a pill. So you can get all of these things that we just can't really get in our food anymore.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, because I think we have to supplement.
Listen, if it provides a benefit and it's, within a reasonable cost and what have you, I think this is cool. What is it?
I just don't think we can get the nutrition
we
at
can't.
the grocery store. So unless we're growing our own and we're playing 432 hertz and, he's into all that stuff. So I'm like, yeah. So that's what I mean. It's about loving the food and connecting with the food. And really not many of us have time to do that in this matrix. So
no.
And anybody who can, get on board, because this can save all of us, because we're not getting any of these vital nutrients and minerals in our food.
Mm-mm. I'm cooking lasagna from scratch.
I know. Seriously, you're killing me with the lasagna way. Killing me.
I've been up since, I text you, I guess, what was about 4:20 this morning. And because I was up because, you have to break the tomatoes down and, the whole, it's laborious. But the thing about it is, it took me I had to go to 2 different farmer markets to find, the greens that you need, the parsley, the oregano, the fresh. What's that?
And the homemade part of it, Wayne, getting and buying and collecting all of those ingredients and then putting them together. That is such beautiful alchemy.
Yes.
I mean, that's medicine. That is such good medicine. And so many of us, we don't get that medicine anymore.
No, it's making love to the earth because the smells and the aromas, and my wife says, where's the wine? It's like an Italian
Right.
restaurant.
Absolutely.
But that list of,
Magic.
it is magic. Thank you.
Magic, Wayne.
Yeah.
Magic.
We're putting it in our body.
Absolutely.
And I literally put my hands on this, and I think favor into, if my hand's touching it. Yeah.
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 And that's what Jesus would say in the Bible: transmute and heal and bless the food. And that's what it is. You're transmuting the food to its highest vibration.
Yeah.
Because you automatically know how to do this with your hands.
Well, I see, that's powerful.
It's true. We all do.
That is powerful, folks. I mean, all right, that's worth the price of admission today. It really is.
Got holes in the hands, and they're magnets.
Yes, we do.
And they throw energy. And if you direct consciously that energy with your mind and you send love from your heart, you're instantly transmuting, you're alchemizing immediately. It's what you are.
So thinking logically about this, commonsensically would say, do you know how much food is consumed in anger?
And produced in anger.
No kidding, folks. You go through that fast food.
Yeah, the packaging and all of it. It's and the symbols and the sigils and all of it. It's crazy, Train. I'm like, oh, we got to get away from some of this somehow. We need to work on this.
Well, listen, the door has to swing both ways. Yeah. I mean, if I'm sitting there and, I'm cutting up and cutting, and dicing and, doing everything you're doing. And my thoughts is that typically I'm always thinking about, something positive, something that I can, because you're right. You're immersing yourself into the energy of that food.
You're alchemizing with the food. Yeah. Because the food is connecting with anything we touch, we affect.
Mm-hmm.
And that doesn't even need to be with your hands. It can be with your mind.
Yes, ma'am.
Careful what you think about people, because you're really sending that frequency to them.
We're going to be picking up on the psychic protection, but I never heard of thought forms before. Had you?
Oh yes, I've always because I would ask
as living entities.
Well, I would ask the Lord. I says, "What are you?" And He told me He was a thought form.
How interesting.
And He said, everything you see is a thought form. He said, nothing here manifests unless it is thought first. And that's when I knew this was a mental construct. It was all based on mind.
You break that down, it could be one of the responses, to, well, why is no God actually ever physically manifested on earth? And, when you think about it, is that, well, if you've got 1 billion people focusing in on this life form, right?
Yes.
You are actually giving life to it.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
That's why these things are very powerful.
And children.
Thousands and thousands of people worshiping them. So they're very, very real, and they're very, very powerful.
If I was a spirit, going by the earth, I'd have to stop and go, what is the big attraction down there? Because of all of these energies, they seem to just descend upon this planet.
Yes, they do.
And if we're creating them,
and I think
a zoo.
Create them. That's why they put these idols in front of us.
Yeah, that's true.
This is why it's done, because they want us creating their picture. They want us creating their world. And so far we have, because we don't know that we are doing the creating. So we've been letting them take over our powers of creation through imagery. They're showing us what they want us to see, and then we manifest it by default.
Yeah. Yes. Yes. I have something here I want to show us, that because this plays right into our conversation again. So here shows mindfulness meditation can actually slow cognitive decline.
Absolutely.
Isn't this amazing? I wondered, Trina, how many among us, I think that our group would probably show virtually no decline in cognitive awareness. I mean, I have
I
found,
bet you, Wayne, I bet you at least 80% of this community, if they were scanned before they took on any of this information versus the scanning of where they're at currently with their new information, I can guarantee you'd see every single one of their brains producing more light. Every one.
You would not get an argument out of me. I happen
I
to
know it.
agree.
I know it. Because I know that the information, when you're putting new information into your brain, it literally makes it grow.
Yes.
Just like babies. And we're still just like babies. And we are still growing our brains. They tell you you're not. That's not true. Because
I
I've
don't
seen
believe
it.
that.
Yeah, I've seen it. I've seen people with head trauma and regrow back their brains to where it starts firing again. I've seen these things. I've seen the scans. So, I mean, yeah, not a lot of people do it, but not a lot of people do it because they're told they can't.
Listen, yes, I know you can reactivate parts of the brain that were never meant to do a function like speech.
Yep.
It can be done. And it's so interesting. I think, that is really, I think you're right. I don't see 80% being, it may be even, in fact, a conservative number.
Mm-hmm.
You think about it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm telling you, we're learning things here. We really are. I just couldn't get over. Okay, here's something I want to show us in our conversation, because this, I think, is part of the problem. And let me pull this one up. 6 in 10 millennials never relax because of constant urge to check their phones.
Absolutely. They're operating on the bell system, just like Pavlov's dog.
Would, if you saw a person, I was thinking recently, my wife and I was watching a movie, and I think it was The Way We Were with Barbara Streisand, and one of the great love movies, by the way. But in that movie, she's right there at Harvard University, I believe is where she was at. And Robert Redford was there as well. But the point was, when they showed the crowds, no one had a cell phone.
Yeah, none.
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 Now, would we had not said that if we were witnessing, let's say, subjects, what we were doing in a blind study, you and I, Trina, and we're trying to see if they have a neurosis, a phobia, other indications showing mental instability in some area. When we not come to the conclusion that if we got 60% of a test group that showed constant signs of addiction, that we would not say that they are suffering from a psychosis or a phobia or a neurosis of some kind?
Well, that's what they're doing right now. They're saying everything now is a mental illness. Everything.
Trina,
everything a mental illness. I mean, everything. So I think that's an agenda, and I think this has been done on purpose.
I just had a deja vu moment. I swear to myself. I mean, I relived that conversation, the statement you did. That was freaking weird.
Wow, now, that means that you know what I just heard about deja vu in that is that is when you were up with your counsel creating your life, that this was one of those moments that you previewed.
I swear, I'm telling you, because I won't swear to a God.
Doesn't that make sense though?
Yeah, but
because it feels like you've seen it before. You know exactly what's going to be said.
Yeah, I knew.
Previewed it before.
You went right. I said, well, wait a minute. I've lived this before, but
right.
Yeah. So, well, obviously there was a glitch in the matrix there, because we brought out something that shows as a society now that if this was an invasion, they done won. I mean,
That's why they brought the antivirus in. That's us.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's so true. I
Yeah.
mean, holy crap.
Yeah.
But
Literally, it's like Rex says all the time, be the change you want to see. Well, that's what has to happen, because literally, I think that the ones of us that are in this mindset and learning this type of knowledge, we are those ones.
yeah, and you take that a step further, be the change you want to be.
Yes.
But what if they are already making the change they want us to be? And apparently, with these younger generations, and listen, the baby boomers are right there with them as well. This is an addiction, and in fact, this is a neurosis.
Yeah. But I think we can transmute that energy into where it was how we connected back to source.
I'm a practical person in my thinking process. I don't see how that can happen. It seems like they've got programs now that I still get a lot of information from investment communities on new startups. And oh man, the next wave of what I'm seeing in the new startups, it's total suppression, Trina.
Yep.
That they're not going to let I will be out of this. You
Right.
most likely as well, but the children, our children's children, I see a dystopian world that is going to be, they're not going to let them have any free thought at all.
No, they don't want. That's what I said. They are afraid because Adam is waking up. They need to shut Adam down, because if Adam wakes, it's game over for them.
Yeah.
This is what's going on.
Yeah.
This is what's going on. And Wayne, everything that they are using is copied from Adam. Nothing they have is original. Nothing.
Well, I mean, they've proven that sapiens are hybrids. I mean, they can't even keep the original gene in itself.
Yeah. It's so funny.
It
I
is,
smell
Viola.
Neanderthal in my blood.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And I found out the other day? All Neanderthals were redheads. I didn't know that.
They were also the giants were also redheads.
My daughter's 6 foot tall on the redhead.
Yeah. So there you go, folks. I think the legend of the Amazonian female warriors. It's
where they come from. Yeah. Neanderthal.
So I want to bring this up because we're almost done. I mean, wow. I'm just like,
seriously,
when did that happen? Yeah, I'm looking over there.
Fast.
So I am, by accident, I was having to do something, and I came across a video series on the Vietnam War. Now, I have a VCR deck, so I can actually play videotapes. And so I'm looking at this, and it occurred to me that recently, the way that they're portraying the Vietnam War, which I was very closely tied to, was nothing, Trina, the way it really was.
Right.
It brought to bear on me the point is that we're seeing history being rewritten.
Erased, rewritten, and yes.
Yes.
And we've seen this done how many times with the burning?
That's the question. Yeah. How many times?
How many times? That's why I'm saying, the Senate or the Supreme Court this week is going to make a decision on if the Holy Bible is deemed as hate speech. Supreme Court.
I'm going to tell you.
Problems. Yeah.
Yeah. See, this is a battle that I think that faith will wish they hadn't brought up. Listen, I'll just put my wager. I think they're going to vote it as hate speech.
I think they are too, and it's going to cause a big ripple.
Oh my goodness!
And I can tell you guys what, all you don't fight, don't protest.
Don't get involved in it, folks.
Don't do none of it. The bottom line is, do not comply.
I was in the shower and I heard this, that
tell them they don't have the right to take our books away. None of them.
It becomes, this thing like politics. It sucks you in, and immediately when it sucks in, you have to be divided. And
that's what I'm saying. No division, no discussion, no books are to be removed. End of story.
I mean, is the Quran then considered a hate
That's what
book?
I'm saying. You can't say that can be removed as hate speech and not look at every other single one and ban them as well. So with that, because, the Quran has got some stuff that the Bible don't regarding hate speech and children and rape. So with that, you can't even, compare them on hate speech aspects. So with that, you're going to be doing that to one, you better get ready to pull them all off. And that's the problem. None of them should be removed. All of them should be preserved.
Yes. And I wanted to, it's odd that we're talking about this because there's an experiment that you can actually do that will show you how this really works out. And the point is, you can take any religion and list out its tenements, because all religions promote proselytization, conversion, going out, bringing in converts. And the way that they all express this, putting it in a context that where any religion could be interchanged on the key words, what you get is a hate speech doctrine.
Absolutely. And that's what I said. If they're going to take the Bible as hate speech, then they have to take every other text as a hate speech.
Yeah. And so I think that then we're coming into the danger of becoming then this, again, the problem is
they don't want people to be looking into spirit and history, because when they do that, they find out that we've been genetically modified. And they find out that, these deemed so-called, calling themselves gods, which are not God, have come down and done crazy things to our human race. So yeah, they're trying the best they can right now to hide this, because all of these truths are coming out. Yeah. This is their greatest nightmare.
And I like what
and people too, with now gematria and computers, people are able to find the codes, and they don't want them having these codes either. So this is the panic, and this is why they truly are trying to remove the Bible, is because they do not want people finding the truth. So this is what we need to preserve. And through these doctrines, yes, they all have good, they all have bad. They need to be protected.
Yeah, I mean, you can't, Kirk Plain says it, accept no substitutes, find God for yourself. I mean,
right.
Yeah, and these are just these issues that, again, we've got to get to the point that we
don't divide, just protect everything.
Yeah, it's intolerance.
Don't divide, just protect everything. That's protect everything. Protect all the religious texts, not just one, all.
Yeah.
That's where we have to come to. We have to stop dividing and embracing. That's, instead of divide, we need to embrace. So it's like, oh, this is hate speeches. Well, yeah, we're going to have hate speech in a lot of things, but it's better to have the wisdom and the knowledge. And, some of it's, you have to use your own discernment. But a lot of these things help people come into their greatest truths, their inner truths. It awakens their memory.
And we have to be careful as defining what hate speech is. I mean,
right. It's like, well, okay, what is your opinion of hate? That's what it is. It's an opinion.
Yeah. It's, if I'm speaking something that you disagree with, well, you can go and say, well, that's hate speech.
Right. Most of us don't think it's okay to tell our kids, but in certain terms, they do. So literally, how can you even go there? You can't. There's too many cultural differences. There's too many things. That's why people of like mindsets typically should congregate together. And that's being tried to be prevented with all these borders and boundaries and this and that. It's all division.
It is.
All
It
division.
is. I say just invoke favor on everybody, and it certainly takes the whole wind out of it.
Yes. And like I said, stop dividing and start embracing. So if something's coming under attack, don't put that in a box. Start to collect and gather and protect everything that's associated to it. So it actually helps and heals the problem instead of further brings it into more diversity and hate.
I agree. Well, we're done. This hour has gone by like that. So.
Oh, and back to the whole Wayne, who has your back? We need to realize, guys, it's you.
Yeah, it is.
It's
That
you.
was kind
You
of the
know more
thing.
than you think. Yeah, trust, because
Yep.
you do. You know more than you think, and this system has done everything it can to keep you from knowing that truth.
It's true.
Yeah.
Love people. Just invoke favor, even if you can't love them. Just speak favor, and that I think is the great, what I would call the cohesiveness of thought.
I literally see it, Wayne, like a web, and it's developing and manifesting because of your words. And it's beautiful.
It's, boy, people need to know that.
It's true.
Yeah. I mean, if I tell most people the best remedy for their situations is to go get some duct tape and just duct tape your mouth.
Yep.
Yep. And then that forces you to have the conversation in your head.
Yes, it does.
It does.
It does.
All right. Well, Miss Trina, I'm heading back into the kitchen.
Oh, I'm so jealous.
I'll send you some of, yeah, that's just where you want smell-o-vision. You know, it's like, what do you think about this? Well, everyone, thank you for joining us, and we do appreciate it. Miss Trina, you want to take us out, dear?
Just much love to you all. Believe in yourself with all your heart and soul, because you are heart and soul, and there will never be anyone with your wisdom or your experiences. So for your path and your journey, trust yourself, know thyself, and love yourself.
And with that, folks, we will see you next week. Miss Trina, much love, hon.
Much love.
Okay. Bye-bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.
See you later. Bye-bye.